Bonjour. Hello. Welcome back to Elden Ring Nightreign. Here, we have Willa Arrow and Sasuke. And they have unique skins. Not just the normal, like, Dawn and Darkness ones, but unique ones I don't even have access to yet. Meaning, they've made some good progress. And so that instantly made me pretty confident in their abilities, and very confident that at least one of them was going to take the lead. That being said, even though I'm not new to Nightreign, this was my first ever expedition as Executor. Because I was trying to play and kill a Night Lord with every single Nightfarer in hopes of getting 3, hopefully 4 journal pages for every character. Here, I saw less likely to be targeted, and I liked the sound of that. So, picked up the S-Stock, and made our way to the first ping. Here, just, for the most part, ignoring the basic enemies, because if your team is fast enough, is decisive enough, has at least one person who's coordinated and willing to take charge, then it's better to just ignore basically all the enemies and beeline basically from boss to boss. There we immediately hit a church and got ourselves an extra flask charge. Here, I looked on the map, but I didn't see anything, and I was kind of confused on what we were going for. And then I saw a cracked golem, and I went, okay, that's kind of weird. I've never seen that before. But maybe it's because I've never been here on the map. Because there's no, like, marker, indicator, or anything here. So maybe that's it. Here, enemy felled. And then objective achieved. Meaning, I don't think that was a normal boss. I think that was another one of the memory fragment things that you can choose in the journal. I haven't engaged in those yet, because again, I want to get 3 pages for every character before doing that. But we got that, happy to help a teammate, and then we move forward. Here, there are 3 different floors. The first 2 floors have enemies, but we can completely ignore that, and we can beeline our way all the way up to the 3rd and top floor, because there's a boss. It can either be a guardian golem there, or a crystallian here. And I just paused for a quick second, because I didn't want to run into a crystallion as a dex wielder without my team. Because crystallians take significantly reduced damage until you can break their stance. And stance breaking is a lot easier when you got a strength build, so. Here, neither of these looked that good, and an enemy came after me, and I was going to pick the top option, but immediately got smacked and said, okay, I don't care about it enough to kill a second enemy, and I don't want to get left behind, and I don't want to hold my team back, so I'm just gonna run. Here, I saw that my two teammates were going in different directions, but I saw that the bottom one, the one still in the lake, was going after a talisman. And so I figured, top person here, Willa Era, is probably gonna go after something a bit more useful. So, decided to follow him, check the map, and I could see a castle. And sure enough, there it is. So, drop down. Sasuke made it back with us, so he wasn't left behind, didn't slow the team down. Good on him. And here, you take a right, you take a left, and you get a boss. And so every character has a character ability, and the character ability of the Executor is this cursed blade. It is a second katana that you can pull out. And what it does is it puts you into a stance that makes you a lot slower, but you kind of hit harder, and you can also deflect, and you get a special thing from that. And I pulled it out there just to see what it did. Here, pulled out Rivers of Blood, but I need to be level 7 to use it. So here, I was already level 6. So one more level and we'll get to use Rivers of Blood. But just continuing forward, I saw Godskin Swaddling Cloth. HP restoration, love that, so went with that. And then continued following the team. And something that I do with every character, which is something I don't recommend, it's something I actively recommend against, but I do it anyways because I'm a garbage, awful teammate who should never be trusted, is I don't go into the, training rounds. Here, wanted to revive them, but I kinda fell down. Though, I think I revived them looking back, but at the time I thought they just died, and I felt bad, because it was entirely because of my own incompetence. Here, Poison Nagakiba. Nagakiba is the comically large katana, and it had poison, so grabbed that, and then continued on. And then here, decided to pull this out, the Nagakiba, for that extra range, and they went down, and we got a normal Nagakiba. And I immediately picked that up, because heck yeah. And then Smithing Stone 1. Now, looking back at the footage, the second option was to increase the amount of runes you gain, and I didn't see that during the gameplay because I just immediately saw Nagakiba and went, yes. But looking back, more runes would have been an objectively better option. Here, going after that top giant typically means spending the entire fight getting hit with giant magic pots by this second giant. So instead of doing that, I decided to go after this second giant. Basically just to save my team that trouble, that extra difficulty. You know, I thought I could help the team out. But something you may notice is going through as Executor, I'm never going to pull out the Curse Blade again. And that's because the main focus of the Executor, or at least the Cursed Blade, is parrying. And I'm not a big parry person. You're Sacred Nagakiba, but I figured I don't need 3 Nagakibas. So, went with that and continued on. But, yeah, you'll notice that I basically just never use the Cursed Blade, because it makes it where you can only walk, not run. And I don't like that, and I'm also not big on parrying. Here I saw a Deathrite bird, and I learned my lesson, and I just ran. And I thought, even if my teammate fights it, this is the only boss where I say, no, screw the team. I'm just going to abandon them and choose my own survival. Their Willa era lost a lot of health. Don't know if they died or just got very, very close to it, but they lost a lot of health there. And thankfully, Sasuke, the teammate that I was following, thankfully they had the same thought that I had of absolutely not, no Deathrite bird, and so we were able to just run away. Here, I got to level 7, meaning I can now use Rivers of Blood, and I just rearranged my weapons. And here, I was following Willa era, and he seemed a little confused, a little indecisive. But I was doing this because I was never going to swap off Rivers of Blood, and I was never going to swap to the S-Stock, and so that made sense to me. And then I could have the Poison Nagakiba, and then once something got poisoned, if I still wanted a range, I could swap over to the normal Nagakiba. So that seemed like the best option for just having as much variety as possible. Here, Crucible Knight and Everjail, and if you take out an Everjail bosses at night 1, they have half health, and because of that, we destroyed this guy. Here, 20,000 runes. That got us to level 9. In case you don't know, the way that you're supposed to do things... Oh, here's a talisman. Check this. And I was going to let him have it, but he was kind enough to let me have it. So, W Sasuke. But anyways, figured we can just stop here, because I'm level 9, and in case you don't know, you're supposed to end you're supposed to end day 1 at level 7, and then you're supposed to end day 2 at level, I'd say 10 to 12, preferably 11, I mean obviously preferably 12, but 11 is like the normal one, because 10 is low, 12 tiny bit high, but 11 is like the normal level to stop. And 7 is the normal place to stop for night 1. Here, we absolutely demolished these enemies. Started to two-hand the Nagakiba, and I love how you hold it off to the side instead of up, the way that you do in the other games, because I've always said I prefer when you hold the weapons down into the side when two-handing, and I think it just looks so much better. Here decided to pop ult and just go after the Demi-Human Queen. Got both bosses poisoned, which is incredible. That's something I didn't expect to see when not playing Iron Eye, since he's my poison guy. But since they both got poisoned, I swapped over to the normal Nagakila since it has better damage. And with that, the demi-human duo goes down. Here, none of these looked good. I didn't like any of these. So I decided to go with that. Just because I might pick up a spell thing, you never know. Probably not, but just in case. It's theoretically better than nothing. Here, run forward. You take a bit of damage, but that's okay. And here, that running attack threw me into the magic goop. And that's when I realized that running attack has a very, very long animation and really throws you forward. And so, I would have to keep that in mind whenever I play Executor from now on. Because even though I don't use his Cursed Blade at all, and that limits my potential as an Executor player, I do like katanas. And I like how he starts with the katana. I like how his starting weapon automatically has bleed buildup without any relics. I think that's kind of nice. As I did before, poison Nagakiba, once they get poisoned, normal Nagakiba. And here, I was going to choose Axe of Godfrey to drop it to one of them. However, poisoning or Scarlet Rot in vicinity gets you continuous HP. And I picked that purely because of the poison Nagakiba. Because, yeah. But if I didn't have a poison Nagakiba, I would have chosen Axe of Godfrey, and then I would have dropped it so one of my teammates can have it. Since they're both big strength builds, and I feel like they might have at least considered a golden strength weapon. But here, we run into the tunnels. We find this here stone troll. Bled him, poisoned him, bled him, and they go down. Chose the smithing stone too. And here, Zweihander. I picked it up not because I had any delusions of using it, but because I thought one of my teammates might like it. Willa Era here could obviously see it, because he's the one who opened it up. But Sasuke might want it, and he's not down here. And now it's time to leave. I was really wondering where Sasuke was, because if he's not with the team, he's not in the tunnel, not getting himself a smithing stone too. Where is this guy? I do wonder. And I could see his name up top, and so I thought, okay, so he's either up a Spirit Spring jump or up a cliff face to climb. There I can see him in the castle. And here, a cliff face to climb. So we make our way up. And now that we were inside, and this was the place with all the giants. By the way, the trolls that we all killed, where I got the option to pick up 3 different Nagakibas. But here, Deathrite Bird. So the team went back for it now that we were stronger. And I was still very anxious, but this team was doing great, and I figured I can't abandon my team. Like, if it was any other team in existence, I would see them going for a death rate bird and say, yeah, have fun dying. But these guys were cool. They knew what they were doing, they've been playing fast, they've been surprisingly coordinated for what I'm assuming is too random. But looking back now, they may have been a duo. I can't confirm that, but they may have been a duo. Just with how incredible they've been. Here, lost half my health, so I decided to pop my ult. And at the time, I didn't know that you could... Like, I didn't know that you could die in that form. Let's say that. Here, none of these seemed appealing, but HP recovery when guarding, why not? And I dropped the Y-hander right as the boss died, just in case one of them wanted it. And here, I thought I could hear a scarab beetle, so I went looking for that. But I figured I have 2 talismans already, and because I don't know where it is, I don't want to slow my team down, and I don't want to get left behind. Because I would hate for something to go wrong, and for it to be entirely my fault when playing with 2 incredible teammates. Because people like this are really, like, as good as it gets when it comes to teammates. Especially for randoms. So, I just wasn't going to allow myself to throw that away in the hopes of maybe a good talisman. Because for every good talisman there is, there's a sacred scorpion charm. And that risk wasn't worth it. If I had visually seen the scarab, yes, but I didn't see it, so not worth the risk. Here, Flying Dragon of the Hills goes down, and I saw Erdtree Seal that has Executor's Decay. I don't use my FP for anything else, and so one full burst of Executor's Decay might be enough to Scarlet Rot something. And here, I thought the team went down, then saw that they weren't down, so I figured they probably went up. Here, just check the map to make sure that we had enough time to do this. And here, decided to test it out. Got in my one full burst, but it was kind of broken up by the giant pillar. And that's not the fault of Sasuke whatsoever. That was entirely my fault on being a bit too quick to the punch instead of waiting for the correct time. So that's on me. But here, we were doing really well, actually. Black Blade Kindreds tend to be one of the more difficult non-major bosses. And so, of course, right near the end, it had to go not super well. I went down, they ended up in a weird position. They jumped away and then ran straight back to their weird position. But thankfully, got the killing blow. And I got a second Rivers of Blood. Decided to pick it up. And just compared the two. Here, we can level up, we can get our flasks. And I figured the one I have in my right hand is better. There I saw a smithing table and thought, ooh, that'd be good. But teammate ran into a castle and I thought, I don't want to slow my teammate down. He ran into here and I've never been in this room before. So, ran in there, just some normal items from a chest. That's neat, nothing too crazy though. But there, no Guardian Golem, meaning it's a Crystallian again. And here, you can backstab Crystallians for really good damage, even without stand breaking them. So I went for that. Here, a third Nagakiba. And I thought, duh, why not? But less likely to be targeted is so good. So I picked it up again and thought, if Willa Era wants a Magic Nagakiba, there he goes. But here I can see the fire very close. But by this point, I fully trusted the team and thought, if he thinks we have time, we've got time. There, the fire coming in immediately made me lose confidence. But I wasn't about to abandon my team. Not when they were doing this incredible. So I stuck with the team, and that proved to be the right call. Here, instant 10,000 runes. And I needed 75k, and I had 45k. So only 30,000 runes away from a level, the final level at that. So I was excited. Here, that one basic enemy gave 1,200 runes. And so, going after basic enemies could be worth it, since we're only 30k away. Here, just wanted to get behind them because katanas aren't great at breaking through shields. Here, none of these seemed that great, but I figured 10 FP for like decay, I suppose. And here, a measly 10k away, and that boosts incantations. And I thought, well, I want to use the incantations, and it's also, well, that improves sorceries. But could be nice because it has holy damage, just in case it's Gladius. In case you don't know, you can check in the bottom left of the map to see what Night Lord you're going to get, but I didn't realize that until slightly after this expedition. It was actually, I think, 2 or 3 expeditions later. So I realized it pretty quickly after, but yeah. Here, me and Sasuke just bullied this high page, which is great because those enemies are terrifying because they have a crossbow that shoots 3 explosive shots, and it does massive damage. There, Sasuke threw down a warming stone to get some health back instead of using a flask. Here, we have a Twin Sentinel and 2 Royal Cavalrymen. And I decided to pop ult right at the beginning, so I could hopefully have it again for the Night Lord. Here, pretty easily killed this Royal Cavalryman. Took a little bit at the very end because he was shielding, but pretty easy kill. And then from there, I figured I'd better just focus the Royal Cavalryman, and that is a very cool critical hit animation. I like that a lot. But yeah, together, Sasuke and I took him out very quickly, and then all 3 of us focused on the 3 Sentinel. And I just focused, for the most part, on dodging, just so that way I wouldn't die. Ignore my previous statement. But we killed him pretty easily. And here, all 3 of these seemed pretty good, but lightning upon dodging, I wanted to be a bit more aggressive, so that seemed good. And here, we interact with this to head into the Spirit Shelter. We make our way into day 3, where we can get our final level, already at highest level. And this was my 2nd time. Just my 2nd time ever making it to level 15. The first time, I was playing with a coordinated group. So like, 3 of us with a password in a voice call, being super coordinated, and it had a very different feeling. So I didn't record that because I want to show what this game is like with randoms, which is why I haven't like joined a Discord server to get a team, because that fundamentally changes how the game plays. Although I do have a 2nd character that's specifically for coordinated play, like with a team, but I'm not looking for a team just yet because I want to keep that character earlier than this character. And with this character, I'm intentionally holding myself back a bit just to get experience on all the different characters. So yeah, that character might be a while. But anyways, here we find ourselves fighting against Gladius, and I jumped the gun on that a little bit. Here, tried to use it but couldn't, so I popped one of the Starlight Shards that I bought with the extra runes that I had. And with that, Gladius has been Scarlet Rotted. And Starlight Shard gave us like 60% of our SP back. And so I decided to just run in with my Poison Nagasiba. And I wanted to poison, but they popped into 3 different parts before I could do that. Here, just went with the one that was closest. And just focused on them as much as possible. And we were doing really good damage. I was very happy with that. And as you can probably see, I've gotten quite a bit better against Gladius. terrible time to say that. But I've gotten a lot better against Gladius, and a decent bit better against Adele as well. So happy with that. Here, again, I didn't know that you could die in this form. And so I came out of that form, saw that I had low health, and went, oh no. But Night Lord felled, victory, Willa, Era, and Sasuke, two incredible teammates. Two of the three best randoms I've ever gotten. All of us getting to level 15, the maximum level. And here, I'm not worried about the relics. After every like 2 or 3 expeditions, I'll look at them, see if there are any that interest me. If there are, I'll see if I can throw them on, and then I just sell the rest. But yeah, that was my first ever expedition as Executor. He was fun. I liked him a decent bit. Didn't use the cursed sword because I'm not a parry person. And so I don't think he'll ever become my main, but...
Have you found any traces of night?
New dialogue.
Each trace of night is a beacon that reveals a larger truth. Defeat the Night Lords as you did the beast to claim 4 traces of night. Only then will the light reveal what lies beyond.
Alright, so... She said we need 4. We got 1 from each boss, and we have access to 7.
Have you found it? Each trace that reveals defeat then only then will the light... Have you... How are you finding the round table? I pray that you will be met with some comfort here.
So, we can choose 4 of any of the 7 we have access to. That's good to know. I'm still going to go in order of top to bottom. But for now, I'm just going to keep going through this, playing all the characters, trying to get at least 3, hopefully 4 pages. For some reason, I can only get 1 as Revenant, which kind of sucks. And Executor and Recluse both have 2, so that kind of sucks, but making good progress. I'm enjoying the game. It's been a lot of fun, especially now that I've got some decent relics, but I'm gonna continue at it, and yeah.